Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Future Stars live on Hidayat TV. To remind you, our topic is Arba'een, which was on Wednesday, the 20th of Safar. So we'll continue from where we was. So can we have a loud salawat to start Misbah off? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajir farjahum.
The family of the Prophet Muhammad remained in captivity for about a year in Damascus by Yazid, the Umayyad Khalifa. After 1 year, when the ruler of Sham were forced to release them, Bibi Zainab Salam said to Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein as-Sajjad salam that she wanted to go back to Karbala to mourn to her brother and all the martyrs of Karbala. The same was desired by other women of this caravan, and Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein as-Sajjad salam directed them towards Karbala. The grave of Imam Hussein ibn Ali salam was not thus late as some may expect. Rather, as the Ahlul Bayt were approaching Karbala, there were few people already at the grave marking his martyrdom with tears. The individual who had been a companion of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Jabir ibn Abdul al-Ansari, who at this point was blind, along with his assistant Achia bin Zad, had made the trek from Medina to the place of martyrdom of his Imam and Master, Imam Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari called out to his Imam, "I testify that you are the son of the seal of the prophets, the son of the Master of the faithful, the son of the inseparable Ali of piety, the descendants of guidance." His servant Achia bin Saad noticed that he could see a caravan of people in the distance, and they were approaching a sacred site. As they approached, they realized that this was none other than the caravan of the present Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein as-Sajjad alayhi salam, with other family members and assistants. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajir farjahum. Thank you, Misbah, for talking a little bit about that. She was just talking about like how it kind of started. Bibi Zainab Salam alayhi, she said to Imam Zain al-Abidin that she wanted to go mourn for her brother Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and so Imam Zain al-Abidin took them to Karbala, and that's how kind of like it started. They travelled on there by foot. That's a little bit how it started. So straight away going to the next thing. So could we have a loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajir farjahum.
Imam Hassan al-Askari includes the performance of Ziyarah of Arba'een as one of the 5 marks for a believer. In addition to reciting 51 rakats of Salah, the double recitation of Bismillah, wearing a ring on one's right hand and doing sajda on dust. Why is it that so much importance is given to the performance of Ziyarah of Arba'een and the observance of Arba'een? The 40th of Arba'een marks an important turning point in the movement of Karbala. This day, which is no less important to the day of Ashura, is important for many reasons. The prime being that Ahlul Bayt has reached the land of Karbala on this day, and visitation to Sayyid Ash-Shuhada, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and the loyal family and friends who gave their life for the cause of Islam. Ziyarat, as we all know, is a visitation, which is in essence the act of speaking and visiting to our role models. Of course, the physical manifestation of this ziyarat is actually being represented in Karbala to perform the ziyarah of Arba'een, but in reality, that is not possible for every believer. So, does making ziyarah while not in Karbala give one the same benefits? A hadith tells us that the performing of the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam far from Karbala would hold the same significance as being in the land of Karbala, as long as the person performing ziyarah has truly understood the status of Imam and seeks to emulate him. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam states that the heavens were Prophet Imam Hussein alayhi salam for 40 mornings, rising red and settling red. As we complete 40 days of remembrance of our Imam, we assert our pledge of obedience and loyalty to him. By performing the Ziyarah of Arba'in, we pledge that we will continue to follow the path of justice and righteousness, and we will reject injustice and speak up against the oppressors of time. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjam. Thank you, Misbah, for telling us a little bit about that. We have a call online, so Assalamu alaikum. Can you tell me your name and where you come from, please? Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, the call had just ended, so we'll just carry on with our topic. If you want to call in, just call the number on your screen, and whoever called in last time, please can you call in? So we want to hear what you said, and if you want to add anything to today's topic or recite anything. So could we carry on from where we was? So Misbah, could you first of all, so we've read all of that, so what you and Mohsin have read all of what you got now, and I'll go into my thing in a few minutes, but first of all I want to ask you, what is your summary of all of this? Could you tell me?
I have learned that Arba'in marks the 40-day period of mourning of Imam Hussein, and Imam Hassan al-Askari has said the marks of a believer, one of the 5 marks of a believer is to do the Ziyarah of Arba'in.
Yes, that's right. That's what we talked about in today's show. So, Mohsin, what do you want to say? What is your summary?
I've got to say the same thing.
So yours is like Arba'in. It's the biggest pilgrimage in the whole world, and it marks a 40-day period from Ashura. So 40 days of mourning. So yours is kind of similar, your summary. So thank you for telling us the summary. Hope you've got a little bit of summary of what we just read just a few before. And now I want to read a little bit what I've got prepared for today's show. There is a special event that stands out as the most unique gathering in the world. It is not Hajj, it is known as Arba'in. It is the world's most popular gathering, exceeding the numbers at Hajj. Arba'in dwarfs every other rally on the planet, reaching about 26 million this year. So about 26 million. That's a lot. So Arba'in is the most. So think about Arba'in is the most is biggest pilgrimage in the whole world. It's the biggest event in the whole world. And think about it. There's about 7 billion people in the world, and 26 million has come. That's a lot, isn't it? That's a lot.
Really.
That's a lot.
A lot.
Yes.
People.
And 26 million came this year, so 2016. 2015, I mean. I was talking about next year. And it is expected, and it is expected to grow year after year. Above all, Arba'in is unique because it takes place against a backdrop of chaotic and dangerous scenes. Opponents see the Shia as their mortal enemy, so nothing infuriates them more than the sight of Shia pilgrims gathering for their greatest show of faith. There is another feature of Arba'in. While it is a distinctive Shia spiritual exercise, Sunnis, even Christians and many others partake in the pilgrimage. So not only Shias go there, but because they see Imam Hussein as a great character, they go as well. So not only Shias but Sunnis even, and Christians and many other people come as well. And given the exclusive nature of religious ritual, and it is only mean one thing, people regardless of faith or color or creed, they all see Hussein as a universal, borderless and meta-religious symbol of freedom and compassion. But who is this Hussein? Who motivates people to defy the odds and come out to mourn his death 14 centuries after? So it's been 14 centuries since the death of Imam Hussein, and we still carry on this about Ashura and Arba'in 40 centuries later. 570 AD. Arabian society is filled with ignorance and injustice, with tyranny and with cruelty. Injustice on a political level, injustice on a social level, and injustice on an economic level. This man's grandfather, by the name of Muhammad, rises in Arabia. He is able to alleviate all of these forms of injustice. The cruelty is removed, the tyranny is now vanished. He is able to establish principle with which every human being can live by, Muslim, non-Muslim alike. 50 years after the Prophet's death, the same ignorance returns, the same injustice returns. It's fueled the whole Arabia state. Tyranny everywhere, cruelty everywhere. Racism is now part of that society. A man must ensure that his grandfather and his message do not die. This man is known as Hussein, but this man, Hussein, recognizes that for this message to remain alive, he had to sacrifice his life. Hussein is known as Sayyidul Shuhada. He was martyred at Karbala. The day was to be known as Ashura, the 10th day of Muharram. Having refused to pledge allegiance to the corrupt tyrannical Khalifa Yazid, Hussein and his family and companions were surrounded in a desert by an army of 30,000, starved of food and water, then beheaded in the most tragic manner. Their bodies were mutilated. In the words of the English historian Edward Gibbon, the tragic scene of the death of Hussein will awaken sympathy in the coldest reader. We have since mourned the death of Hussein on the day of Ashura, then 40 days later on Arba'in, which is our topic today. An avalanche of men and women and children filled the eye from one end of the horizon to the other. The crowds were so huge that it caused a blockage for hundreds of miles. The 425-mile distance between the city of Basra and Karbala is a long journey by car, but it is unimaginably hard on foot. So it's even hard from Basra to Karbala by car. That's by car, and imagine by foot. It's unimaginably hard on foot. It takes pilgrims 2 full weeks to complete it. 2 full weeks.
Full weeks?
Yeah, 2 full weeks. So that's 14 days. So they do that in 14 days. That's really long. People of all age groups travel in the scorching sun in the day and in the bold, chilling cold in the night. On part of the pilgrimage that will leave you astonished is the sight of thousands of tents set up by local villagers. So this links with what Miss said at the first part of the show, that she learnt while researching about this topic that there were tents on the pathway to the shrine, and they would, and we got to find out. They are set by local villagers. They are set up by local people who live in their area, that lead around the pilgrim's path. This is where pilgrims can get practically everything they need, from fresh food to eat, a place to rest, to free international calls, so they could call their family, and all of this is for free, and all of this free of charge. In fact, pilgrims do not need to carry anything, because they don't need to carry anything but their clothes, because there all are tents and camps over there which provide them with the other essentials that they need, like food and places of rest, drinks, and to clean their clothes as well. They are treated like kings. They are treated like kings over there for them doing this arba'in. They are first of all, they get a foot massage, and then they eat fresh meals. Everything is included, even security is included, because many other things happen over there, bad stuff that could happen, so security is needed over there. So they even provide security for these pilgrims. It's not easy for an outsider to understand what inspires these pilgrims. You see a woman carrying children, old men in wheelchairs, people on crutches. Visitors to the shrine of Hussein and his brother Abbas are not driven by emotion alone. They cry, being reminded of the atrocious nature of his death. In doing so, they refer their pledge of these ideals. The first thing pilgrims do when they reach his shrine is recite the ziyarat, a text that summarizes the state of Hussein. In the beginning, they call Hussein the inheritor of Adam, Noah, Prophet Nuh, Prophet Ibrahim, and Musa, Prophet Musa, and Jesus, so Prophet Isa. So they call him the inheritor of Adam, Prophet Nuh, Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Musa, and Jesus, Prophet Isa. There is something profound in this proclamation. It shows that Hussein's message of truth and justice and love for the oppressed is viewed as an inseparable extension of all the divine appointed prophets. It was centuries ago in Karbala that humanity witnessed the genocide of senseless monstrosity performed by the murderers of Hussein. It was pitch black darkness versus absolute shining light. So Yazid's side, the pitch black darkness, that's giving you an example of their nature, pitch black darkness. So in darkness you can't see anything. It is pitch black, total pitch black. So in the night when you're at home and you can't sleep like that, and all the lights are off, everyone's asleep, pitch black versus absolute shining light. So much light, absolute shining light. Hence the potent spectre of Hussein today. His presence is in every and is fastened into every one of our lives. His legend encourages and inspires change for better. Who is this Hussein? For millions of his followers, a question this profound can cause people to give up a religion for another can be only answered when you march to the shrine of Hussein, when you do Arba'in. This can only be answered. So you see other people converting. There are loads, if you check on the internet, there are loads of people who have changed, who has converted to Islam because of Imam Hussein and because of what we do Arba'in. When we go and we go this long journey, 425 miles, from Basra to Karbala. We do this journey, and many people have converted because of Imam Hussein to Islam, because of Imam Hussein and what he did, and how he inspired us to change for the better. So I hope you've learnt a lot in today's show. Have you learnt a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope you've learnt a lot at home as well, because this was a very interesting topic, and there's a lot of stuff on the internet about this topic. So it's been great, hasn't it, Miss Ba?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mohsin, have you had a great time on today's show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. So hope you've learnt something. As I said, hope we have definitely learnt something. So thank you for coming on today's show. We'll be here next week, same time, same place on Hidayat TV. But until then, Good Hafiz.
Good Hafiz.